So Dr. McKenzie put up the MRI, and we had the name blocked out in the corner, 2 different MRIs, and said, Russ, what do you see here? He said, well, the guy's torn his hamstring. He said, can the guy play with that? I said, no, it's got to be surgically fixed. And he uncovered the name. Well, I've got slides on my computer of that.
You have receipts.
I've got MRI, yeah.
Shut up and sit down.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Rolltech, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, Miller Lite, and Aaron's Company.
What is up, Wisconsin? From the Inside Wisconsin, it's the hat, isn't it? I'm Trevor. That's John. I knew the second we tried to do the intro to the whole thing, this was going to throw you off. It's Pepper Burruss, athletic trainer, 26 years, Green Bay Packers, and I feel like they all wear these bucket hats. So
you just felt like,
yeah.
So do you feel like you're now ready to go tape an ankle or a shin splint, or
this is what I do best?
Massage out a calf issue? Or
do you not have a Packers bucket hat? You have tons of everything.
No, go look in the mirror and it'll tell you why I don't have a Packers bucket hat.
Come on, it's not that bad. Wow,
it says you. Anyway, yeah, that's true. I hope it goes well with Pepper Burruss. I hope he doesn't go, wow, finally, after all these years, I regret coming to Wisconsin. If I'd have known it was gonna lead to this. I kept Brett Favre on the field for God knows how many seasons, but I couldn't prevent this.
And it's this guy wearing a bucket hat. We'll see if it comes up.
Sometimes bad hats happen to good people.
Thanks. Hey, I saved money on powder. Let's get to Pepper. John, when you chat with somebody that lived on the sidelines, you wear the sideline bucket hat. That is former, now retired Packer trainer Pepper Burruss. Pep, thanks for being here on Inside Wisconsin.
Ooh, I love being with you guys. You know, it's you got the local, we got the distance. One is where I live now. One is close to where I used to live. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to correct you. You got to call us athletic trainers because everybody's got a trainer now. But it's all good.
Yeah, that is true. I'm going to do my best to not be distracted by that foolish-looking hat on my partner. So we'll start in Wappingers Falls, which is, and I realize that this is a long story, so you can go ahead and Reader's Digest for us. But how does one go Wappingers Falls, Purdue, Jets, Packers?
Cliff Notes. One of my very rare high school athletes was a collegiate scholarship winner at Boston College, Bob Rush. I said, hey, where do I go to college? On and on. He said, hey, come out and meet our athletic trainer, Bob Reese. He's youngest head trainer in Division I football. I went out there, told him that I had applied to school and I want to come to school at Boston College to be an athletic trainer. And he said, sorry, can't make you an athletic trainer. I got brokenhearted. I said, why? He said, I don't have an approved curriculum. He said, go where I go. Where I went. I said, where's that? He said, Purdue. I said, where's that? He pointed like west. And I went to Purdue, and the rest is history. But there's a few other caveats in there. Bob was a Purdue grad. He ended up leaving Boston College, went to the Buffalo Bills to work for another Purdue grad. If you're sensing nepotism, there's a little bit of that. I went to Northwestern and with no intent of going to college to go to physical therapy school. But when I was there, all of the full-time athletic trainers were physical therapists. In my junior year, I made the mistake of saying, what do I do next year? He said, going to physical therapy school. I said, where? He said, any damn place you can get into. And that was a mistake because that was a challenge. And went to Northwestern. Bob Reese left the Buffalo Bills, got the head trainer's job at the Jets. I said, great. I know a trainer with kind of my favorite home team. And wouldn't you know, in August of that year, he called back to Purdue because he needed an athletic trainer. A young guy, one of his guys had moved on, and the boss there said, why don't you call Pepper? He's leaving physical therapy school. And he did. There you have it.
and the rest is history. 42 years in the NFL later. Pep, you tell the story that you worked 42 years in the NFL. You never applied for a job, and you still don't have a resume. True?
Correctamundo. I had 2 NFL jobs, one for 16 seasons, one for 26 seasons. Never applied for either one of them, and I do not have a resume, let alone a CV. That would take me too much time to make a CV. You got to keep those things being built. So, correctamundo.
It's great when the work speaks for itself and you don't actually have to brag it up when it comes through. So what was the call like when they said, hey, we could use you in Green Bay?
Well, see, Ron Wolf was with the Jets. He came out there with the Jets, and he and I became fast friends. Not because of my skills and scouting or anything, but I know how to do tools. And he would call, say, hey, we've got this thing with our swimming pool, which I used to put in as a kid, and came out and did that. And they said, hey, this TV cable doesn't work, and I did that. So when he got the job with Green Bay, I simply congratulated him and said, tell your wife, Edith, tell Edie, have screwdriver, we'll travel. And of course, that was in 91. February of 92, he called me up and said, hey, I want to talk to you about the job out here. I said, what job? He said, well, head trainer's job. I said, well, Dominic's out there. And Dominic told me he wanted to work through that, the 92 year. He said, well, we'll see about that. Here I'm telling the boss what. And the next day I got a phone call or a phone message on that little machine. You used to have to rewind the tape. And it was like, Ron Wolf, Pepper, you're right. See you at the combine, which was the next week. And here I was telling the general manager of Green Bay Packers that his athletic trainer was going to stay another year. And he called me back and said, you're right. So he offered me the job at the combine. And I did not give him a firm answer until October that year. Because, John, I wasn't sure I could do it. You leave the largest NFL city in the world for the smallest. The Packers weren't killing it, but we had been to 8 playoff games and won 3 of them. And if I'm not mistaken, the Packers had like a 25-year drought. At the time you were coming out of high school, I think they won a playoff game.
Yep.
And I just didn't know. And some prayer, some console, and you guys will like this. Jerry Holmes was a defensive back with the Jets, little skinny guy. We used to compete on who had the skinniest legs, and I think he had skinnier than mine, way faster than mine. But I called him up, said, Holmesy, what's it like in Green Bay? What do you mean, Pep? I said, like small city, and hey, we're in the melting pot of America in New York. I mean, racial tension, weird stuff. Pep, forget about that. Here's the deal. If you're big and you're black and you walk through the mall, you're getting asked for an autograph. Outside of that, it's all good. I said, I can deal with that. We're all good.
Totally different ball game. So from, as you said, the largest NFL city to the smallest NFL city, and yet your wife has a famous quote that you shared with me. Pep, if you get fired, I ain't leaving. Green Bay is home now, and you're still here in retirement. Tell us about that.
Considering she's from Chicago, and of course I drug her she was trained as a BSN nurse, a bachelor's nurse, worked on Long Island, and she never really told me how much she didn't like Metro New York. We're there 16 years. We had our first child there. And when I don't think I told you this, Trevor, when I came home, I think it was the Cleveland game in 92, and I had been on the phone with Ron Wolf, and we were talking about this, that, and the other thing. And when I came home, got home later in the evening and told my wife, I said, I think we can do this. She said, do what? I said, I think we can take that job in Green Bay. She jumped out of the bed and did this with the fist bump. Yes, yes, yes. And I said, what's that all about? She said, I wanted you to make the decision. About buckled my knees. That, what kind of wife is that? That she didn't. If she had told me how much she wanted to get out of Metro New York, I'd have taken less money, less perks, less this, less that, and told Ron Wolf the day he called, I'm in. And but to your question, that she would tell me, she said, you know what? When you get fired, I'm staying. And if you tell that to a Rotary Club local, they love that stuff.
So we know what the team was, and it was ascending. But what did you find in your job when you showed up in Green Bay?
Dated. I actually had said to Ron Wolf, I said, Ron, Green Bay is known to be a little frugal. Hey, anything you need, you go through me. I said, well, the staff, he said, your call. Doctors, he told me what the situations was, and the long and short of it is the Packers were frugal, and they did things a certain way, and I got to bring computers in, and we might have been the first team in the NFL to use computers for our drug inventory at the Jets and scouting combine, and I don't know if I was met with open arms. Mike Reinfeldt was the CFO back then, and he's like, uh-oh, I'm going to control this guy. But we renovated the athletic training room, and medical records went from manila folders to whatever. But, it was all good. If I was coming into a well-oiled, perfectly running machine, I'm not sure it would have been, I don't want to say a challenge. I don't know if it would have been fun. This was an opportunity to put my stamp on it. And it was all good.
Pep got here in 93, right? 42 years in the NFL, 26 seasons, though, in Green Bay. John asked you how different the training room was when you got here in comparison, but look at Lambeau Field in the time that you were here. Pep, I mean, like, when you walked in, that thing was a tin can. When you walked out in 2019, it's like a palace. What was that like?
But the one thing that didn't change, and I'll quote the late coach from Aaron Campman's home, Parkersburg, Iowa, the Sacred Acre. The field didn't change. Trevor, when I think 81 was the first time I was in Lambeau. In fact, we flew in, it was a preseason game. I think we flew in on an Eastern Airlines L-1011. And I still remember seeing the paper, like either that day or the next day, the local and state thing said, we're going to offer tours of the first jumbo jet to land at Austin Straubel. I'm like, oh boy, where were we? But still, that south end zone locker room, I walked through that upper tunnel, not through the player tunnel, and I walked out and saw that field, and I went, ah! It was the most gorgeous grass field I'd ever seen in my life. And so yes, it had its flavor. I mean, the little locker room, the visitors' locker room, which I understand, John may correct this, but I understand that south end zone building was where the famous Art Star sneak and the locker rooms were on the south end. Mm-hmm. Literally, the Cowboys and the Packers shared a building, and it was divided by a wall, but that was on that right where our locker room was as a visitor. But most of my trips here early on were to Milwaukee County Stadium. But that first time was wow. Mm-hmm. And then to see the plans to change this, add this, a scoreboard, close this, some skyboxes here, and then the big changes, the renovation that about the vote about killed Bob Harlan to get that vote through, which passed 53 to 47 to add a 0.5% sales tax. But right now, if you went 53-47, I think if you polled people in the county, it's probably 99 to 1 who voted for that.
Correct. Same number of people that were at the Lambeau Leap game. Yeah.
Or the 700,000 at the Ice Bowl.
A lot of people at the Ice Bowl when that comes as well. So this sounds terrible, but we used to go, and because I was close by, we'd take our bikes to the airport to watch the teams fly in when they used to fly into Green Bay. When they came through. And though even bigger than a jumbo jet, we biked over the first time a 747 landed in Green Bay. And that was to pick up, this is great, a bunch of bowlers to take them to Vegas for a big bowling convention. Wow. Which is there anything more than Green Bay? That's what we needed was a 747 to haul all the bowlers to Vegas when they came through. It's crazy. So before we get into more stories of what happened in your time, give me the legacy you feel like you left when you walked out the door.
Just the impetus to keep changing and keeping up with the times. And, it's not the reason I'm gone, but in medicine, and maybe IT and stuff like that, you get gray hair. The business, even if the players who come in gravitate to the young people. So my legacy was redesigning the athletic training room on the north end twice, and then having the opportunity to be extremely involved with that side of the building it's in now. And of course, it's all being redone again, not necessarily the athletic training room, but I'd like to think that some little tiny part of it. I don't know a lot about football. I know there's a white line at one end and a white line at the other end. It's really good to cross one and not really good to let the other team cross the other one. So I know that about football, but I've also learned this. If you've got a really good quarterback, you got a chance. And we've had two really good quarterbacks. So you can say anything that we did and whatever did, but last I checked, you've got a really good quarterback, you got a chance.
And you have, sorry, John.
No, go ahead, Trev.
I was going to say, and you have really, really nice rings from those two really nice quarterbacks that you've been with. I was curious in your memories, and you talk about your legacy and all, like, what was the difference in those Super Bowl victories, right? 31 and 45, you were there for them both, but man, those teams were completely different, yet really good quarterbacks.
31, we knew we were really good. I'm just going to say there was a feeling we were really good. And we were really good in Super Bowl 32 too, but I think that we thought we were too good and understated what the Denver Broncos and how much they wanted it. After losing 4 of them, they deserved to win that one. I don't know. The difference was Brett and Aaron are totally different people. Brett's just a country boy, and Aaron's a California cool. And Brett's mother loved to watch him play football because every time he threw a ball, somebody caught it. And whereas Aaron was surgical, is and remains surgical. And here's our favorite son, Brett Favre, and this young buck comes in. And again, I don't know anything about football, but we're in I think then we called it the barn. I don't think that wasn't the Hudson Center as we know it down, indoor facility. And watch this young buck Rodgers guy throw a football. And I do know this, when it spirals on a frozen rope and goes where it's supposed to, you say, this guy might be good.
And he turns out like that. It just took a while to convince people.
Like an opportunity and stuff. Yeah. I think there's still people who aren't convinced because, he's so California deep. People are like, they love him. Yeah. Nope, we're off him now. Oh, he wins a couple games. We're on him. So
yeah. You don't know a lot about football, but you know about athletes. Tell me, because I don't know that the general fan understands how tough these dudes are and what they go through to get on the field every Sunday.
People don't always know who the greatest athlete is on the team. One of the finest athletes, and I'm going to evolve back just spontaneously to Wisconsin, in my time was Al Toon. Oh, my goodness. He had a balance and a grace that he ran. And Al was very successful in his concussions and the like. But in the same vein, a receiver, we had Johnny Lamb Jones from Texas. Lamb, he was from Lampasas. And he was on the Olympic sprint medley 4-time, whatever, shows what I don't know about sports.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious, what he ran, it stopped you and you just wanted to watch that grace in motion. Mm-hmm. Problem was when the ball hit him in the hands, it always didn't work out that well.
So Trev, I'm going to interject here because this is my opportunity. So Lamb Jones was on a 4x1 team that won a gold medal in '76 in the Olympics, and he was barely out of high school. And Al Toon also was an All-American triple jumper. He was fantastic as well. Track guys, I'm just telling you, they're everywhere.
Always comes back to
these
track.
These guys aren't only just great athletes in getting in, Pep, but just like these are tough SOB. Like most people wouldn't get out of bed to go to work if they were an office job. Some of these guys have.
No, none of the three of us, if we did to our fingers what they do every day, you wouldn't be able to type the computer. Of course, you couldn't use a cell phone. You couldn't. I mean, I just can't. I mean, there's too many examples, John, of toughness and broken this and broken that, and I've seen everything from quadriplegia on the field. Haven't really had any cardiac emergencies. One of our coaches, Gil Haskell here, we thought he was dead on the sideline of the Dallas championship game. And the only way that our fans and viewers could view this is if players would say, you're in a car accident every Sunday. And people who have been in, I don't want to say bad car accidents, but they're sore for weeks and lawsuits and neck things. But a football player gets ready to play 7 days later. Your body's not designed, God did not design it to get well in 7 days. But they have to get well in 6 days and play on the seventh day, and that's it. It doesn't make any sense.
I'll just follow this up. When I was in Phoenix, which was the only time I was in a city covering a pro team every day, about week 7 or 8, when the bye week was coming, I'd go through and just do a story, and I'd just say, show me where it hurts. And what these guys would show you, and you're like, oh my goodness. And I can still remember Eric Hill, who was their middle linebacker, and he had a neck brace on. He had a boot and was on crutches, and he literally was probable on the injury report.
Yeah,
and
John,
this was Tuesday, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, but you throw me up a softball, because the difference is that the difference is between hurt and injury. These guys are hurt every day, from the day they walk in to the day they walk out, and we try to make some thesaurus difference in injury. You're hurt or you're injured. They're always hurt. We hope they're not always injured, and I know that's a fine line to try to describe.
All right, let's take a break. And I don't know if this is break number 1 in episode 2 or 3 with Pep, but we haven't even scratched the surface yet. We are back in just a second with former athletic trainer of the Green Bay Packers, Pepper Burruss. We're inside Wisconsin.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Rolltech, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, Miller Lite, and Aaron's Company.
Helpful critiques, ideas, great stories, people we should know, the great bar in your town, the fish fry you want to know, the fish boil, anything that you want to reach out to us with. We are happy. We are here. You can be the inputters. We're here to listen.
J.A., I tried to spit it out last episode. This time I have it ready. I have one of those wood-fired pellet grills. We just got one. It happens to be a Traeger. It was used. Stay away. Get out of me. Everybody's like, oh, they're so expensive. Nope, I bought it used on Marketplace. Anyway, are you into smoking meats? Because I have literally been on Festival Foods website, festfoods.com, searching all of their different meats. Pork shoulder, this, baby back rib, that, certified Angus beef on the grill. I'm jacked. Do you have a smoker?
I do not have a smoker. I do appreciate that. That's the thing. It is not a skill I have, but it is a skill I will eat. Remember, I spent a lot of time in Oklahoma, and I spent a lot of time at college football games. College football games, it's a good tailgate when they have a smoker that's the size of basically a mobile home. That's when you know that this happens. So that's significant. But, yeah, you can't eat good barbecue if it's not. I think of smokers, it's very much like I'm not a coffee drinker, but I love the smell of it. I love the smell of Barry Melrose cigar. And I love to go by barbecue point, and you go out in the back and you see the stack of wood in the smoker that's been going on for 7 hours, and so that it just falls off the bone. So I am all in on the smoker, even though I am not skilled in the practice of said smoking.
You don't really need to be skilled anymore. You set the timer, you put it in there at that temperature, you set it and forget it. I know.
I feel like there's more art to that. I feel like the science is there that you've got, but I still think to some degree there's an art.
Well, the art starts by shopping at Festival Foods. Go to their website, festfoods.com, hover over shop. The first choice, of course, meat and seafood. Choose the meat or fish. Is fish meat? Just put it on the smoker. You'll like it. Festival Foods. We're back inside Wisconsin between segments with Pepper Burruss. Time for another top 5 list presented by UW-Platteville. UW-Platteville has Wisconsin's best agriculture program. It's the University of Wisconsin-Platteville's agriculture school. UW-Platteville offers an affordable, top-rated program that prepares graduates to be leaders in the fields of agriculture and agribusiness. It's what we do best here in Wisconsin. We contribute to our state's economy and make our communities even stronger. Find out more at uwplatt.edu. All right, time for this week's top 5 list. J.A., it's about injuries and the Green Bay Packers, yeah?
Right, and I'm not sure top 5 is the right, top 5 usually seems good, but the 5 really significant things that have to deal with injuries, because Pepper's here and we got a trainer, so that's what we should do.
Athletic trainer.
Right. If it was 6, I'd go, how bad that hat is hurting me right now, and that I'm going to need at least 2 Advil or something before it goes. Okay. So anyway, so this is just, I think, there are 5 really significant injuries that played into the history of the Green Bay Packers.
We're going to see if I remember any of them.
Might go, oh, he's going to talk about John Anderson always breaking his arm and then had to go with the pad. That's not in here. Mm-hmm. But as is my want, sometimes I do maybe add a 6. So 5 is a coupled entry, and these were 2 fellas whose career were cut short with neck injury. There was the great Sterling Sharp, who was hurt at 29, and I still think should be in the Hall of Fame. I know they say, oh, his body of work wasn't long enough. I think if you go and look at even his work and the 3 or 4 seasons he had at the end were amazing. I think Sterling Sharp should be in the Hall of Fame. He is one of them. The other one is Tim Lewis, who was the number 1 draft pick in 1983. So there were 2 major additions to Green Bay, you and then Tim Lewis is the number 1 pick out of Pitt.
Thanks.
And on a Monday night game, a couple years later in his career, I want to say 85 or 86, had to be 86 because it wasn't the 85 year, obviously, with the Bears. Mm-hmm. Makes a tackle. He goes down on a heap, and he has a significant, they got to haul him off the backboard, and they find he's got that narrowing of the spinal cord, and it is best for him to quit football. That's it. He's gonna be done. He walks. Yeah. He is fine, and he lives a wonderful life and still coaches. But that was a significant one. The caveat to that is, hopefully we have time for this, is so he goes to Pitt, and years later, like last year, I am sitting on set with Louis Riddick, and we're a commercial break. And Louis went to Pitt. Everybody knows Big Lou, right? He's a very prominent guy. And I say to Lou, I said, by the way, you know what? It just dawned on me. I said, you went to Pitt. I said, when I was a kid in Green Bay, I was a senior. We drafted Tim Lewis. He was terrific. And then got, and I kind of explained, he goes, Tim's my cousin. Our moms are sisters. So that's for Packer fans. If you ever go see Louis Riddick, you see our man Lou on TV, know that he's connected to the Packers because that was his cousin and one of his heroes, why he went to Pitt and everything else because he was tied in there. So that
you don't even do this 3 degrees of cheese on purpose. Like that's a 3 degrees of cheese. It's perfect. And you don't even do it on purpose. That's how common.
So all that is to get to number 5. Number 4 is Aaron Rodgers, broken collarbones in 2013, 2017, just to say, just so you know how screwed we are when he gets hurt. Those are significant things, okay? That's all. I hope Jordan Love's great. I hope it never happens. But those are significant just to go, okay, here's what we are with him, and here's what we are without him. And so that's there. Number 3, Reggie White's hamstring, right? That somehow he miraculously, he should have been done, should have been over, Super Bowl victory. By the way, he eats up, 3 sacks on one leg and one arm, and he eats up whoever their left tackle is and just beats up Drew Bledsoe all day long. Number 2, here's one for you. Do you know what the significance of the shoulder injury to Boyd Dowler was?
Nope.
So Boyd Dowler tears up his shoulder in the Ice Bowl in 1967 against the Dallas Cowboys, and he goes to the Super Bowl, and he tries to start, and they say to Max McGee, listen, if Boyd can't go, you better be ready. And naturally, Max goes out and parties all night long and is in a hungover haze. And Dowler gets hurt again, re-injures the thing in no time, and out, boom, here comes our man, Max McGee, into Super Bowl history.
Wow.
So that is, and then number 1 is Don Majkowski.
Thank you. I'm hoping that.
Who has the ankle injury early on. The misnomer about that Bengals game is that Brett came in late and threw the touchdown pass. He came in very early in that game, and he was kind of just sort of so-so and fumbled a bunch and had been sacked. But as often was the case, he was there at the end when we needed him. And
was
so
that
I
at County
feel like
Stadium?
that's probably the most significant injury in Packers history. For all the injuries Favre had, but played through, was the one that Majkowski couldn't get off, got off the field because of the ankle injury, and then never played again.
Forever changed the Packers franchise. Forever.
Forever.
Was that at County Stadium? Jay, was that at County Stadium, that game?
Lambeau Field.
Okay.
Lambeau Field.
Don't recall.
Week 3 Week 3.
At
Packers
Lambeau.
hadn't won a game yet when they came through. So that was it.
Were you
so
there?
those are my guys. So you got Mikowski, Aaron Rodgers, Reggie, Boyd Dowler. You should remember that. I know that's before your time.
Got
it's
it.
significant because now you know Max
Down.
McGee. And then obviously Sterling Sharp, put him in the Hall of Fame, and Tim Lewis / Lewis Riddick.
And our guy Pepper Burruss was there for almost all of those. Back to Pep. We are back inside Wisconsin. Trevor Thomas, John Anderson, and now retired athletic trainer of the Green Bay Packers for 26 seasons, Pepper Burruss. All right, it is officially story time. Pep, you mentioned something earlier that I do not want to miss. You talked about your skinny legs. This is apparently a thing with you and the players. Please tell the story of how Reggie White describes God molding Pepper Burruss.
Yeah, well, I can't really mimic Reggie's, Peppa, when God was making you, he formed your head and he was coming down and Jesus called him and he went, what? And he would laugh and he would turn to the next person and tell it again. And when God was shaping Pepper and Jesus called, what? And he would tell that forever. And, we'd have windy days there, and John would know they'd put tarps up, and Reggie would go stand against a chain link fence, all 300 and whatever pounds, with his arms up against his fence, and say, "Oh, Peppa, don't walk over here. You're going to get stuck against the fence. The wind's going to push you against." Reggie was the best, just the best.
So has anybody said, if you walk by and said, "Oh, look, you got out of bounds stakes" or anything like that when you come through, right?
All right. During practice, they didn't always have full lines of people on the sideline to help out in practice. And one of the equipment guys maybe had to run and get something, and you're holding a yard marker or downs marker. And in the middle of the field, it'd be, "Hey, Peppa, get out from behind that pole." I mean, they would keep coming. I mean, between he and Favre, the stuff on the fields, it's hilarious.
How is it Reggie came back from that hamstring injury against the Bengals to play in the Super Bowl? Did you have anything to do with that, or was it really divine intervention?
I had 1,000,000,000% involved in that because Reggie tore his hamstring. We did the MRI. Send the MRI around and said, if this guy wants to continue his career, he's got to have that surgically corrected. All right. So that's the weekend. We get the MRI right away. It's Monday. Tuesday was a player day off, and Kent Johnson called me from the Hudson Center with his Texas accent. He said, "Maine," for man, "Maine, you're not going to believe this." I said, "What's that?" "Big Dog says he can play." I said, "What?" And I'm not excited about Big Dog playing. I'm disappointed that we've let all of you guys, the world of sports media, know that Reggie's done and is going to have surgery, which is still true because I don't care what Reggie's saying. So the next day that Fritz Shermer, the defense coordinator, defensive line coach, Mike Holmgren, Ron Wolf, Dr. McKenzie, me, we're down at the Hudson Center, and Reggie takes off and runs. And we're like, physiologically, I mean, the MRI shows his hamstrings torn. And so Reggie plays, and I'm thinking that, okay, we look like, we screwed this up. We really misdiagnosed this. That's what everybody's going to be saying. And as a sidebar to that, we took that MRI and another MRI to the scouting combine, and one of the gurus of doctors, we all know Dr. James Andrews in Birmingham, and Dr. Russ Warren with the New York Giants, which was one of the groups that we teamed with in our exam room. So Dr. McKenzie put up the MRI, and we had the name blocked out in the corner, 2 different MRIs, and said, "Russ, what do you see here?" He said, "Well, the guy's torn his hamstring." He said, "Can the guy play with that?" I said, "No, it's got to be surgically fixed." And he uncovered the name. So, I mean, those are firsthand. So the answer to your question, in latter years, Reggie White, if you looked at his hamstring, he could put a cigarette pack in the hole. He tore his hamstring. So God did not heal his hamstring. It healed his pain and ability to deal with it. And I've told that story maybe not in this much detail, 1,000 times. Because everybody said, oh, how'd you screw that up? Reggie got
Right.
healed. Well, I've got slides on my computer of that.
You have receipts.
I've got MRI. Yeah.
I
screwed
tweaked
that
a
one up.
hammy in week 1 of beer league softball and could barely walk the next day. But by all means, a pack of cigs and a blown hole in it. That's wild.
Trevor broke his leg standing up off a chair, getting up off a chair. So don't even listen to this. He's a mess.
I did.
Yeah, when Trevor, God was making Trevor, he said he thought he said pain. He said, no, I need brains. He said, no, I don't take pain. I don't take pain. Just a little, baby, just a little.
All right, so you're Midwest nice, believe it or not, Pep. I'm about to give you credit here. You told me a story with Reggie about after a game on Christmas Eve. Just start at the beginning. You go. That was my note. Take it away.
Well,
The train.
my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were here for the game and on. And we had a little more liberal situation. He could sit in my office after a game, and then we would ride home together. I said, we're not going right home. Got to make a stop. He said, okay, where are we going? And I know I digress a little bit here. I said, we're stopping at Bellin Hospital. Oh, okay. And he went with me, and I had a ball under my arm that I think Favre had signed, and looked up a room number and went upstairs to a room and tapped on a door and came in and walked into a fellow I've never met in my life, but I'd heard his story, Steve Champagne. His story just moved me as a physical therapist. He was deer hunting. John knows everybody here deer hunts except me.
And me.
And fell out of a deer stand and was paralyzed. And his 9-year-old son drug him out of the woods. And big Packer, everybody's a big Packer fan. And I unannounced brought this football over and put it in his arms, which he could move. It was his legs paralyzed. And it wasn't that ball that I know. It was a game ball, which we could take back in those days, and put it in his hands, and just one of those moments. And this isn't about me, but that's about Green Bay. That's what we do. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And came home, and my brother-in-law was blown away. We're driving down Webster Avenue from, how did you do that? Why'd you just leave it alone? It's the way it happens. It's what we do. And so we're chilled out, Christmas Eve, and phone rings and said, "Hey, big dog, you got to help me set up the trains." Now, the backstory is he had seen a couple of these extra large train cars in my office on the shelf. They're not the Lionel. They're called G gauge, garden gauge, big.
Yep.
And he said, I need a set of those for Jeremy. So I ordered them with his credit card or whatever it was. And they arrived. He took them home whenever he took them home. Well, now it's Christmas Eve. I'm not giving it a thought. But here's Big Dog. You need to help me set up the trains. So I grabbed my brother-in-law. I said, we're going for a ride. He said, where? Don't worry about it. So we go for a ride, and the next thing you know, we're on our hands and knees. Reggie's in his sleepwear out there by Southwest.
Yeah.
King Arms. And we're setting up his trains, setting them up because I know how to do it, setting them up. And we're driving home, and my brother was saying, all right, we do the hospital thing. Now we do this. It's in Reggie White's floor, hands and knees, setting up his trains. Where's this happen? In Green Bay.
Only
in Green Bay.
So is that in that regard, like some people say they have a 24/7 job. Like you really had a 24/7 job, right? Like I imagine somebody on occasion called at 3 a.m. and said, this hurts or this is crazy.
John, I came here. I had the audacity to come here with a beeper. And players say, oh, Pep's on the street corner doing drugs. Ooh, and we didn't. I had a cell phone, but it was a block phone. Trevor didn't know what a block phone. You know what that is. So I had a pager, not for emergencies so much, but it made me crazy when we would go to a hotel on an away game, and you're going to meet somebody downstairs in a restaurant or the bar or whatever. And if someone wanted to find you, they'd call your room. You're not there. You're in the hotel, but they couldn't find you. It was the inefficiencies of those days. So I got a pager, 1-800-436-4739. And it was a Sky pager, beep, beep, beep. And I'd call, and had calls from Ron Wolf or whatever, and then eventually the cell phones. But you are correct, 24/7, and there's all kinds of examples of it, and the best are the ones that you can laugh at when, you get a cell phone call and it says, Pep, blah, 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 whoever this is, tore a contact. I said, well, we got some extras at the stadium. He said, I'm in Atlanta. I said, okay. What do you want me to do? I need a contact. I said, dude, you go to an eye doctor like I do. I mean, I would get the hey, and he had to have the sound effects. Hey, dog. I said, yeah, I get it. You're congested. What do I do? Can you get me some decongestants? Where are you? I-10 in New Orleans. Dude.
Walgreens.
Go to Walgreens. I mean, oh, John, the stories we would, mother, father, uncle, nurse, whatever, but we were really advocates for their health care.
Tell me about some of those conversations when you get into this, because you've got a guy, and I've seen them. I've been in these places. They all want to play. They want to play. And a coach wants them to play most of the time if he can need them. Your job is to, yes, get them ready, but also to be some voice of reason, I imagine, is to, okay, but we put ourselves at risk. How that seems like a delicate conversation, but how is that handled with, I get you want to play, and I get we can use you, but I'm here to tell you that this is not the best thing for you, in sort of the do no more harm to the patient.
Well, you're giving me too much credit because we were the kind of second line of that conversation. The first line has to be known as a conservative doctor, Dr. Pat McKenzie, who was with me from day one as our orthopedic surgeon. And Pat couldn't be any more ethical and cautious, and Holmgren hated him for that. And Pat's being awarded on September 1st, the Bob Harlan Leadership Award for what he's done in this community. But I didn't have to worry about be that first layer of, we're not going to let you do this and that. But stories abound, John. If a guy said, Doc, you got to shoot this, shoot this foot. Man, the number of injections Dr. McKenzie would do in a season, you could almost count on two hands. I mean, and that would be a finger, a toe. We did not. That's North Dallas 40. We did not numb up shoulders and knees. It didn't happen. But some of the stuff the players had access to on their own, it's well documented. They said, Brett Favre with his pain pill addiction and on, that it all had to come from you. I said, hey, guys, our stuff is inventoried. The NFL comes in and looks at it. They go to the pharmacy. You will even know it's since retired, Kreider Pharmacy down on Mason Street, and they would check this. It's like balancing your checkbook and then going to the bank to see if it registers right. And so people say, well, where'd he get it? I said, this is America. If you've got money, you can get anything you want. And, they wanted us. And I actually came through the phone once after Brett had his, and I listened to that. It came through the phone. Is that driving in and whatever the local AM station was on talking about sports, and Brett had his press conference. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, Brett Favre with his narcotic addiction and pain pills, and in the NFL, we know where that all comes from. It's from the trainers, and they did say trainers because that was kind of the thing. And with the Green Bay Packers, we know who that is, and that's Pepper Burruss.
Oh,
I was on my cell phone to Holmgren on his cell, and I was like, Pepper, calm down. He's on his treadmill next to Kathy in his house over there, park, and he's, Pepper, I'll talk to you when you get there. I know it's wrong. I was, oh boy. So
I can only imagine
where stuff comes from, who it gets from, who wants to take it. John, it's an onion that has so many layers to it. They all want to play because, like, who are the great ones who stepped in, Mickey Mantle, whoever stepped on the water sprinkler, and you give somebody the chance. Don Mikowski hurts his shoulder. Who's this Brett Favre guy? The rest is history. they don't want to give anybody that crack.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much that they're the most. Some of them have a wife saying, "Hun, your per game playing bonus is this." They want you to sit out how many games?
Oh, wow.
A lot of people don't know that in contracts. There's
Right.
be per game playing bonuses, not just their money. You're 50K. Oh, you're 50K a month and he wants you to sit out 5 weeks, and maybe it's mom, dad, the kid. Dad, no. There's so many layers to that onion,
Sure.
and it
Yeah.
stinks.
So you brought up his name, Brett Favre, and the whole painkiller thing, but that guy was the ultimate Iron Man. And Pep, that was on your watch. This
Yeah.
Iron Man run, this I'm never missing a game. We
No.
know that there is some anonymity, obviously, to some of the Favre stories behind the scenes in regards to injuries and what he battled through and all those things. But there's got to be some really, really, really funny Brett Favre stories too. Why don't you tell us a few of those?
Well, there's some that aren't, so funny that when he tore up his ankle, and I think it was in Minnesota, and Kurt Fielding was an athletic trainer assistant when I got there, still there to this day, and Kurt was one of my most valuable confidants. But he was with Brett his first year, so Kurt took care of Brett. They had a special relationship. So I may have taped Brett Favre twice, treated him, in the training room. Everybody just shared that. But when he blew up his ankle, Kurt literally, I don't know if he spent a night or two at his house, but brought equipment over there, and we just treated him 24/7. And when he played against the Bears the following week, I think, John, have to tell me who the coach was at that time, just said that, after he threw 5 touchdowns, and, they said, oh, he's probably still on that stuff or whatever the quotes were. But you don't play a strategic position like a quarterback on narcotics. It doesn't work. It's kind of like saying, after, I know in Wisconsin, a case of beer is pretty much average, but you drink a case of beer, you're not really doing your thing. And narcotics are very true with that. So, people saying Brett was on this and that, I say he took him maybe after the game and at home and out and about, but he didn't take him to practice and he didn't take him to play because it wouldn't have worked the way it worked for him. Toughness with him, his ankle was legendary. Knee, I think, hurt his knee against Washington, I think, whoever tackled him. And we had knee brace, a Donjoy knee brace made for him, and he wore it for a game or two and came and dropped it in my office. And Donjoy called us and said, hey, it's awesome that you let him wear this brace. It's great exposure for us. Anything we can do for you? I'm like, what? No, I need a new Corvette? No, I mean, but I said, you know what you can do? Make us, I think, 4 or 5 of that exact same brace, if you're willing, and we'll have Brett sign it, and everyone in the athletic training room, 2 doctors, 2 other assistant trainers, they'll get to put one in their trophy case. Mm-hmm. And the one that's around the corner here in my trophy case has got white paint on it because it's the one he wore.
That's the one.
Yeah. But Brett loved to play. I don't know if I know, or let me say it this way. I don't know if I've been associated with a greater competitor. Tiddlywinks, cards, shooting a bow and arrow, golfing. Brett would compete at anything. And when he mastered it, he tended to step away from it. I don't know if that whatever.
Mm-hmm. So his toughness is legendary, right? Everybody knows that. The streak speaks for itself. Who are some other guys that you came across that we might not know as well or know well but don't know the history of? Who else were guys that were just tough dudes that you couldn't get off the field?
Well, I'm on a slippery slope because if I forget somebody and somebody who in the world is going to want to watch Pepper talk, but watch or listen. But, a lot of times it was the skinny guys. Robert Brooks, take a licking and keep on ticking. Timex twins, he and Donald Driver. Tough guys. But guys with big-time injuries, too. I mean, Aaron Taylor and knees and,
It looks like the football gods threw up in that room that you're in. Like, how many of those footballs? What is your collection like? Matt Kenseth told us you have a radiator of his. Like, what's all that about?
Well, here is part of you. If you can still see me, I can't see you, but that's okay because your hat was getting old anyway. But
Hey,
the I've had to realize, and I think it was a Billy Graham quote, that no one's ever seen a hearse pulling a U-Haul trailer, and sometimes I have to realign my thoughts, get a little more perspective because I'm the king of stuff, and I thought I had coined a word with all of the Yiddish words I'd hear on Long Island because of Judaism's pretty strong out there, and I thought I coined a word called shizit. I have a lot of shizit. Well, that's in like a dictionary somewhere. The footballs, I think, because you and I chatted a little bit prior to this, you joined the NFL. Man, I probably took a Pete Rozelle NFL football with the NFL logo on the side of it and looked at it and said, wow, wow, wow. I mean, and I would look at the key I had in my hand, too, to the Jets building at Hofstra University on Long Island. So I probably had one of those, and a couple years later, there was a situation where, tie it to Green Bay, Zeke Bukowski was Kenny O'Brien's quarterback coach at the Jets, and there were a couple companies competing with Wilson for the football contract, Rawlings and Spalding. And I went up to talk to Zeke about something and saw those footballs. Hey, what's the deal on those footballs? They're samples. They sent them. They want Kenny to throw them and see what he likes. You want them? Oh, boy. You asked the wrong cowboy that question. And in time, little things like that happened. You go to a Pro Bowl or eventually, a Super Bowl, and these little balls are logoed. But actually what stimulated me with the footballs, and I've blown off your question, how many footballs are there? I think high 200s probably. And the criterion for the footballs is they have to be a pro league involved. WFL, USFL, Arena League, World League, NFL, XFL, Lingerie League, all of these indoor leagues, they have to be. And they were displayed in the athletic training room. And Ted Thompson was a bit of a minimalist, but when he had some hip surgery, he was laying there looking and he saw the ball that has Joe Foss on it. I think he was the president of the AFL. He says, you know who Joe Foss is? I said, yeah, he's the president of the AFL, or he wasn't the commissioner. He said, yeah, but he's a Congressional Medal of Honor winner. Ted said, exactly. And Ted said this. He said, when we fire you, I think we're going to keep the footballs. I just cackled like, okay. Well, when we redesigned the training room, Ted wanted all the footballs out. So there's 200 or more here. And the thing that really got me going, and I will shut up in a second, is that I made it a mission to get every single commissioner's logoed ball. Burt Bell, Rozelle, Tagliabue, on and on. The latest one, Roger Goodell, he and I were together in 1983 at the Jets. So I when he first came to Green Bay, his first year of being a commissioner, I had a Goodell ball. I said, Roger, will you sign this? And he said, Pep, I'm not. Roger, it's my collection. But I told Trevor that, and I think John has seen this picture, a rather famous picture of Don Hudson. And to me, the only Hudson there was the Hudson River. I didn't know I'm from the East Coast. And Don Hudson being such a, broke the barrier of the long game and sports of a wide receiver. There's a picture of him holding like 8 balls in his arms. And it's all over Hall of Fames and stuff that he's probably going down and having somebody throwing balls. And I'm looking at that saying, who is that commissioner? And I went and good old Google and go back and who's the, this commissioner. And if you do enough research, it's Elmer Layden, who was one of the 4 horsemen at Notre Dame. And he apparently was the first to have an embossed facsimile signature on a ball. So I went to the Packer Hall of Fame and called up Tom Murphy at the time with the Hall of Fame and said, Tom, I just want to see what an Elmer Layden football pepper. We don't have one. We've never seen one. And then it became my mission to find one. And Ron was quite a collector of both baseballs and had some footballs. So most valuable football in my collection is an Elmer Layden football, because the Green Bay Packer Hall of Fame doesn't even have one.
nor is the regular one. That's amazing. Yeah. And then why is the name that escapes me of the Four Horsemen that went to East High School and then was Lombardi's coach at Fordham? Come on,
No,
people, help me.
yeah, but John, I'm old, but not that old.
Thank you. I was
Bothers
really hoping.
me. I can't think of that. It's just going to drive me nuts the rest of the day. But okay.
Well, call me up. I'll give you my cell. Just, you'll be in the shower tomorrow morning. You're like,
Right? That's when it'll hit me.
We all have. That's a guy thing. You have
Yeah.
shower revelations.
Yeah. Or worse, it'll hit me in a commercial break on SportsCenter, and then I'll lose it because I'm talking about some yahoo who hit his third home run of the year, and then it'll be gone as quick as it came.
Now that you were not only my first time hero, my second time, I'll be watching you, and I expect you to be talking, and all of a sudden you say,
You shout it out.
Homer Layden. And what are you talking about?
Ding. That's it.
Exactly.
All right. We will somehow wrap it up with Pepper Burruss, former athletic trainer of the Green Bay Packers. Right back after this. We're Inside Wisconsin.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Rolltech, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, Miller Lite, and Aaron's Company.
Helpful critiques, ideas, great stories, people we should know, the great bar in your town, the fish fry you want to know, the fish boil, anything that you want to reach out to us with. We are happy. We are here. You can be the inputters. We're here to listen.
Hot summer. Summer has been hot. Has it been hot out by you? Because it's been stupid here.
It's hot everywhere. I don't know if it's quite as stupid, but it is, yes, it's significant.
The heat and the humidity. Do you have, this is going to sound dumb, uneducated. Is the humidity bad in the Northeast as well?
It can be, but it's not like, listen, the hottest I've ever been was the first fall I went to the University of Missouri, because it was umpteen. I'd never been that hot in my life because it wasn't like Wisconsin heat. And then when I went to Oklahoma and it was that hot and the humidity, you're like, wow, I feel like I'm breathing through a wool ski mask. And so when I lived in Arizona and it'd get 112, wasn't nearly as bad as those two places. So, but it's all right, because then they make cold beer. And because I grew up somewhere really cold, I'm all right with hot. I have this argument with people all the time. I'd rather be super hot and uncomfortable than super cold and uncomfortable.
Oh, no, you're wrong. First time in this show's history, you can only take so much clothes off.
Mm-hmm.
You can always put more clothes back on. That's why I love winter.
Dumbest argument ever.
Here's the best argument ever. All of those places that we just talked about, whether it's cold or hot, you can get a nice cold Miller.
Yes. I got one at a flower shop the other day.
Yeah, I bet you did. And the hardware store and the pet store. And where we want you to get it is MillerLite.com/Inside Wisconsin. Next time you're getting ready to enjoy cold ones with your crew, go there. MillerLite.com/Inside Wisconsin to find delivery options near you. It doesn't matter how hot it is. Or you can, like John said, pick up Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Miller Lite goes down better after mowing the lawn, because that's why they made beer.
By the way, two dimensions is always tough as we sit like this, because I always feel your left elbow is going to knock that Miller Lite off behind you.
Left, yeah.
Yeah, if you look right behind, like, is that going to, but it's far enough that it's safe. It just looks right behind you. You don't.
I know, it's a mirror image. I wasn't sure where it was.
Yeah.
Here,
just you could never be a weatherman.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. Oh, that's so true. It's right there.
Yeah.
Got it. And in case that one gets knocked over, there's always one behind my head, right there.
Hidden behind the hat.
Got one ready. Yeah. What's not hidden behind the hat? You know what's hidden? This bald head. Back to Pepper. We're back inside Wisconsin. Trevor Thomas, John Anderson, Pepper Burruss of Athletic Training Packers and Jets fame. All right, Pep, it's lightning round. I get two, then John takes and runs with it. And I do go a little softer side sometimes, but you've talked to me, Pepper, about 8.5 miles from Lambeau Field is where you live. That is 8.5 miles away. What has it meant to you to be able to take time and serve this community now in retirement?
Everything. I don't want to leave. Coaches would say that Green Bay is a really, really hard place to move to, and it's even harder to move away from. It's the people, it's the culture. Hey, me moving from Long Island, cost of living, what I could afford to buy, and people say the weather. The weather's awful. Guess what? Well, you go to New Orleans right now, the weather's awful. You go to California, it might be burning. Both of my kids out there. So it is what it is, and I try to rationalize and tell everybody, hey, if you want to keep something fresh, you put it in the refrigerator. You don't put it out in the sun. And they said, oh boy, you're reaching there. But I've been on a Curative Connections, been a board there for years, and they just changed presidents, and I decided it was time to get out, in fairness to my wife and church. And I love talking to groups in the community because, I do the first talk for free and the second one for half price.
Good.
And
good business model.
Oh yeah, it's good. Yeah. But Trevor, it's just, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
And it's not unique to Green Bay, Northeast Wisconsin. John, forever I saw signs that said NEW plastics. New plastic. What the heck is new plastics? In Northeast Wisconsin. But I'm still coming, buddy. I didn't know what a supper club was. I'm getting there. Fish boil. I haven't done the fish boil, but
we make that happen. We make that.
Yeah, it's
all right,
like
last one for me.
Like the new zoo. You're like, wow, we got a new zoo? No, you idiot. We have the Northeast Wisconsin Zoo. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. Who wants to go to the old zoo?
All right, Pat, one more. So clearly the names in your phone are some of the biggest celebrities that Wisconsin has ever seen. I know that you could call any one of those guys and they would pick up right now. I'm not going to make you do that. I'm curious, who's the biggest celebrity you met visiting Wisconsin or visiting a Packers game that's outside of the teams that you served?
Chris Cassidy, Navy SEAL, second or third longest astronaut. NASA. He retired from Navy SEALs, became a NASA astronaut. Is he an adrenaline junkie or what? Chris Cassidy, up in the space station and on 3 trips and on. Paul Selva, Vice President, Chief of Staff, on, a number 2 rated military guy. And Kenseth, and I work with Roger Goodell, and but in the same respect that if I text Brett or Donald, they'll hit me right back. So there's no grading it, but you baited me like most famous. I name a name, people can say, who the heck is Chris Cassidy?
Sorry.
But I'll tell you what, that floated my boat. Wow.
I bet.
Navy SEAL. And I've had the privilege to meet a bunch of Navy SEALs, and you talk about athletes. Right. So.
All right, J.A., hit him.
Wow. Well, since you brought up the astronaut, and Trevor, feel free to chime in here if you know. Where did the guy that set the first step on the moon was Neil Armstrong.
Fraternity brother of mine at Purdue University, class of 55.
And the guy who the guy who made the last foot on the moon, Gene Cernan. Where'd they go to school?
Well, I know Neil Armstrong went to Purdue, but I don't know where Gene Cernan went. Was he a Boilermaker?
Gene Cernan went to Purdue as well. The guy who put the
first home like the birthplace of astronauts. A bunch of astronauts have
So
gone
the first footprint on the moon and the last footprint on the moon were both made by a guy from Purdue.
I didn't know that.
So now you know. So you're a tool guy. My father used to tell me that every man who's worth his salt has a 6-foot level. Do you have a 6-foot level?
Probably a 5-foot. No. Answer question. No.
Okay, but 5 foot would probably still work. The thing is, you don't have one like this.
Yeah, but I have 2 of them. So I've got 10 feet. John, I probably have 8 levels. 2-footers, 18-inch, 6-inch, and then you get the little plastic one that you buy some project and they give you some little tools are us.
All right, yeah. Give me a tool that you got to leave with one tool. What tool is it? The screwdriver you're traveling with? What do you have?
I'm going to take you down another road. Everybody saw me wearing a fanny pack on my butt all the time. The guy with the fanny pack in it, and I'll plug it, was about the size of a big Wisconsin bratwurst, was a Milwaukee cordless screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver on the sideline. We have to remove a face mask quick.
Right.
And now screws are almost obsolete. Now it's a push button, almost like a little ratchet gizmo, and on and on. The changes in healthcare and sports is, it's on this trajectory. We know what we've gone through with helmets and concussions, on and on and on.
Give me the tool that no NFL player should probably have, just the generic guy. Like, my guess is it's a chainsaw or something, but give me something that you're like, you know what, this is not made for an NFL player.
Oh man. How many guys' houses I went to do like anything for. I mean, it's not even tools. Yeah, I'll tell you a tool: common sense.
Okay.
I was going to say debit card.
What?
Nope.
Common sense. I mean, the player who turned off the heat after the last game and went back to home in California, it didn't end well. Doug Collins, we went over to see that house. There's 4 feet of water in the basement.
Okay.
Common sense.
When you go to the bar and you ask what gin would you like to order?
Nothing from below the bar. I told my daughter when she came of age.
Yeah.
You go out to date. You on a date with someone, and you say you want a gin and tonic or a gin. We call it a gin or gin 7-Up or Diet 7-Up and a chunk of lemon. It's a springy drink. Said you drink nothing from below the bar, and typically your top 3 shelf are Tanqueray, Bombay, and Hendrix.
Okay.
But I have close to 300 different here in the basement.
So
you don't live far from me.
The football and the gin go pretty close, right? We've got
but the thing that blows it all away is my wacky hobby of collecting and studying small arms ammunition. I'm not a hunter. I don't hunt. I don't really own any guns, but I was the president of the International Ammunition Association. I've got worldwide friends that chase ammunition. I only have nationwide friends that take care of athletes. So my circle of friends that are worldwide are ammunition nuts. So you figure that. The bottom
line,
line,
Ranger silver bullet?
Close.
Okay.
Close. But you should. Yeah, when you're back in town, you're such a celebrity. I know there's a parade, but you need to come over to the man cave because you think this.
Yeah, mine. I thought I had some cool stuff, but I'm way behind you. If you were going to guess, put a number on the. Give me a number nearest to 1,000 of ankles you've taped.
Yeah, no way to tell. No way to tell. Some guys got taped, some guys didn't get taped.
Like 10,000, Pep?
Right.
Oh, I've been a part of 11,000 combine exams. So if you do, so the numbers are stupid.
1 million.
But I will tell you, when you say tape, I would always tape Reggie's wrist. I taped his elbow too, but I would tape his wrist. And with Super Bowl 31, we're going to win that. And Reggie comes over and says, hey, he holds his hands up like that, and I cut the tape off. Typical Pepper. Kind of slid right into my jacket pocket.
You got the tape?
I've got it. Oh, yeah. I got Favre's brace. I got Reggie's ankle wrist tape from Super Bowl 31.
Jeez.
The last time anybody called you Thomas.
Today at Menards, when I ordered a vanity sink for my wife told me to go pay for, because it's 11% rebate at Menards right now. And at least your Wisconsin people are saying right on Menards, 11% rebate. And they said Thomas. I said, yes, ma'am, I'm Thomas. But if you call his house and ask for Tom, the Pepper guy says he's not here.
That's fine.
So this is the pet peeve of mine, because the guy is not available right now. He's in the training room. Who hit out the most from the media in your training room?
Ooh. I think maybe Brett. Maybe Brett. That's all questions are good. It's the bad ones are the ones that don't get asked. But I don't. I'm not sure of that. You have to think about that. I might have to text you. Well,
Okay.
I'll text Trevor because getting through that security line to John, that
Yeah.
ESPN barrier.
We'll exchange that.
I can call Goodell and Driver and Favre, but I'm just honored to be on the same computer.
Hey,
with
I'll
them.
give you John's cell phone number. You give us
Yep.
Brett's, even trade. No big deal.
We used to joke all the time. You could literally roll into ESPN before we had gates. When I started, there were no gates. There was no nothing. And you could roll in and literally go, I'm here for Chris Berman. Oh, can we tell you what it's about? Yes. We're going to kidnap him. And they go, hang on just a second. I'll ring his office. So that's literally the kind of security we had. Yankees or Mets?
Growing up as a kid, Mets, because I hated the way Steinbrenner traded everybody, but 180-degree swing, all Yankees, because my first intern in 1977 has been with the Yankee organization for 42 years, 26 of them as head trainer, Steve Donahue.
Excellent. Number of times you thought Brett's streak was over?
Ankle, knee, at least twice. No, ankle, knee, and when he broke his thumb. Broke his thumb. So there's at least three.
Okay. If there's a fire, what behind you would you grab and try to take out of there? You only get one.
Yeah, well, my wife would kill me if I didn't say, wedding album or something like.
I meant sports memorabilia. I understand we've got other stuff.
Memorabilia. Even though it's in the safe, I might have to go get that football because that might be a one-of. Because John, you didn't know it is written in like Inkwell ink. 1945 fifth World's Championship, Green Bay Packers. Fifth World's Championship. It's got Tony Cannondeo's autograph on it, Curly Lambeau's autograph on it.
Oh.
Stupid, buddy. Stupid.
And the last one I have is I want to know in your 42 years, and you can even go up to now because I'm sure you still have your finger on the pulse a little bit what's happening. Give me the surgery that has most dramatically changed life for athletes and has rescued careers.
That's a softball. It's not a surgery. It's the machine. It's the arthroscope. I used to do a talk, John, after I was in the business 26 years, I stole the idea from the late Dick Schaap because he would do a talk. He did the Red Smith dinner in Appleton of the 26 most intriguing athletes he worked with or interviewed, A to Z. A, Muhammad Ali, B, Brooks Robinson, C, Tony Campaneris, and I lost. He only made it to I before he was out of time, which I was out of time a half an hour ago. I did a talk of the 26 things that I've seen change in the business, A to Z. And if somebody gave me 26 minutes, 1 minute each, A was the arthroscope, B was the business, C was the computer, ABC, I got to think D. D was the draft, E was ESPN, F was free agency, and right on down the line. I had trouble with Q, and I would use quantitative analysis to say drug testing, and I had trouble with K, so I would use a picture of, everyone know what this is, a kaleidoscope, the image of a kaleidoscope, because that's the understanding of what goes on in the business, a kaleidoscope. Z was easy. It was the zebras. Look how the zebras have changed. I mean, now they got instant replay and buttons on their hips and blah, blah, blah.
Now you can go to KT tape.
Oh, KT tape, yeah.
Right?
KT tape. When the girls wore that in the sand volleyball game, the rest was history.
Yeah, game over.
John,
when I asked Pep to join us on Inside Wisconsin, the first question he asked me was, what's our mission? And I said, to help others experience joy. And I firmly believe that if you don't get joy out of the last hour plus of hearing these stories of Pepper Burruss's 26-year career with the Packers, we got nothing for you, man. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, buddy. I mean, my career has been beyond comprehension of being blessed and graced. But it has been a joy to do what I do. And if I can share any of it, you call 1-800-PEPPER.
You got it.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Doing the right thing.
John, get him and Gorman Thomas in the same room.
Well, they wouldn't need us. We could just put them up on the split screen here, and we just, you could just punch the buttons, and we'd listen to those guys.
Amazing.
So,
stories for days, and I think it's kind of neat to watch you listen. So many people don't get to see that when we click out of that 3 screen and it's just Pepper. I was watching you listen I mean, just sitting there going, man, these stories and the Reggie White stuff and the Jets stuff. It's sports icon stuff.
It's stuff that, first off, I've been hurt a lot, so it's always good to hear from that guy, right? As a guy who had his career kind of ended for him by an injury, trying afterwards. So it's nice to hear that. But the other part is just like we kind of the headline of the story. Oh, Reggie played. And it's great to hear kind of then the backstory, if that's a decent description. And it's fascinating stuff. And I don't know how. Thank goodness we just didn't do it, on location in his basement, because we'd never get out of there. Like I didn't have time to ask him, excuse me. But I'm like, what is that 9 hanging up there? Right? Like it looked like maybe it was from the facade of the retired numbers or the Hall of Famers. Yeah. I don't know. I kept trying to figure out what's the 9. Anyway, it's
next time you're home, maybe we'll just take a trip out there and we'll get it all on video and see some of Pepper's stuff.
Have a gin and tonic, and we'll go for it.
Deal. All right, J.A., in place of John, Wisconsin again for this episode, it is Deeper Roots with Blaine's.
This better be good, because I had a great John, Wisconsin ready.
Oh, save it for next time. We're good. So it's 6 words. American Cheese Society Certified Cheese Professional. What does that person do?
I don't know, but it's a job I want.
It
all I know
is
is that if the job ever opens, I'm going to apply for it.
Well, there's less than 1,000 in the country. We are chatting with one today on Deeper Roots. It's Jeannie Carpenter. She owns the Firefly Coffee House in Oregon, Wisconsin. That's where you and I had a little argument about that last episode. You'll enjoy this. A really cool story. Somebody that has deep Wisconsin dairy farm roots actually tried to get out of that and went to, I think, Idaho and worked as a journalist, ironically, for some time. She got brought back. It's all about the cheese.
People love cheesy potatoes.
Farmers, brewers, hunters, packers, badgers, cheeseheads, neighbors. No matter what name we go by, we are bound together by our roots. These are the people, the stories, and the statriotism from inside Wisconsin. Welcome to Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Episode 2, more like episode 1. We did a little intro with Grandpa. That's Jeannie Carpenter, Firefly Coffee House, Oregon. Not Oregon, Oregon. Inside Wisconsin's Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet, we're diving into deep-rooted stories. You have a passion for cheese because you have a passion for Wisconsin.
Yes.
And so you grew up here, but then went away for a little bit, trying to, cut those roots off or whatever. Not on purpose. You love Wisconsin. You're back. Just give us your Cliff Notes version of your story and how you landed here in Oregon as an American Cheese Society certified cheese professional. I mean, that's a long road.
It is. So I grew up on a farm in southwest Wisconsin near Belmont, 340 acres, good-sized family farm in the 70s, right? So after 22 years of doing chores and baling hay and feeding cows, I was like, see ya.
Done.
So I looked at the map and I thought, where's a place far away that's not highly populated because I'm not a big city girl?
No cows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't want to see any cows, really. So my degree is in journalism. So I moved to Idaho, which was a long ways away.
Yeah.
Not a lot of cows.
Beautiful.
And was a journalist out there for many, many years. And then, like many people, you get older, you get married, you have kids, and all of the grandparents are in Wisconsin. And they want to see the grandchild.
Mom back.
Right. So moved back, which was nice. It was what I should say that when you move away from Wisconsin, you appreciate it more.
100% right.
You appreciate the seasons. You appreciate the climate. You appreciate the culture.
The people.
You like the Friday fish fries.
You do.
Like they don't have those in Idaho.
No.
I had no idea. And then, so my father, he was always a little disappointed that I had left agriculture. Always said never going to come back to agriculture. And then I got offered a job as a spokesperson for the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture.
I'm smiling because you wrote off agriculture, and then you're like, oh hey, job in Wisconsin in agriculture.
Yeah, so that's how I got into cheese. We had some federal money, and our job was literally to save the dairy industry. We went to every cheese factory in the state of Wisconsin, went to a lot of dairy farms, and we had grant money to offer folks to stop or transition from making commodity, low profit cheeses to start making specialty, high profit cheeses.
Artisan cheese.
And artisan cheeses.
I've practiced this a bunch. American Cheese Society Certified Cheese Professional. What?
It's a lot of words.
It is, and a lot of homework apparently.
It is. So it means that I have a degree in cheese knowledge, and I have thousands and thousands of hours working in cheese. In Wisconsin, there's about 30 of us total. We call ourselves ACS CCPs.
Right.
So in the biggest cheese state in the country, there's only 30 people who have that certification.
That's saying something.
You have to study for 6 months. The test is offered one time a year. Only half of the people who take it pass. And you have to work 2,000 hours in a retail setting to even qualify to sit for the exam. It's
You
a
did
lot.
this on purpose.
I did.
Can we try some cheeses?
Yes, we should totally do that. We should start with the Car Valley 3-year aged cheddar and go to the Hooks 10, because if you start here, this will seem boring.
Downgrade. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So this is Car Valley. This is a 3-year aged cheddar.
Yeah.
And wax is a particular Wisconsin tradition.
Oh.
When a cheese, usually a whole wheel is dipped in wax, and it's an alternative to wrapping it in plastic, and an alternative to a natural rind. It lets the cheese breathe, but it helps it age better, more naturally.
Hey, interesting.
And
Non-edible.
Right. And traditionally, black wax meant an aged cheese. And this, like back in the day, a 3-year cheddar, that would be, holy cow, that's an old cheddar. So a really easy way to tell how old a cheese is to bend it. So I'm gonna bend this.
Here, I'm going to cut another piece so we can bend cheese together.
Yeah.
Never bent cheese before in my entire
So
life.
if you have a piece of, like, I don't even have any 30-day old cheddar in my case, because what's the point of the calories? The youngest cheddar in my case is a year.
You might be surprised to hear I don't count calories.
Well, I do. So
Okay.
so when you bend it, you're
Okay.
gonna see what the bendability is, and it's not great. It breaks pretty quickly.
Oh, I was going to
right?
say, I'm doing, oh, there it goes, okay.
Yeah, that means you can tell it's got some age on it.
We're really good though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good sign. You don't want to get all the way down here and have it be like a craft single. You want it to break pretty quickly.
Okay,
But-
try this with me and tell me what I'm, like, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
First off, not bendable.
No. If that cheese bent, then that tenure on there would not be accurate. So this cheese is going to have a lot more depth. So sometimes, like when you eat something, it's the same, the total journey through eating it, through biting it, through chewing it, through swallowing it, it's the exact same. This is going to have about 7. This is like a 7-note cheese.
What?
Yes. So when you bite into it, you're going to have a burst of flavor. When you're chewing it, you're going to have more flavors.
Notes as in different
Like
features.
musical notes or features. And then when you're swallowing it, the finish, you're going to get a whole nother sensation coming up through your nose.
My goodness.
And everything. Yes.
Because our friends from Farm and Fleet are super fun, there's apparently one that we're about to try that has a rattlesnake on it.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So this is from Deer Creek Cheese from Sheboygan. Good luck.
Cheers. Hot milk doesn't get it done,
No.
Jeannie.
Sorry. Okay, go with the 3-year cheddar.
Okay, 3-year
Yeah.
cheddar. Let's go.
And then there's also some tenure. over
Tenure
here.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. This was a lot of fun. We did a lot of laughing.
Good.
And learned a lot about your Wisconsin roots. Deep-rooted stories like this matter for us, which is exactly what we're trying to showcase on Inside Wisconsin's Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet. You know more about cheese than I would say everybody in your Firefly Coffee House combined. And that deserves credit. And it's something that we as Wisconsin, I think, should be really proud of. So this was awesome. Thank you for doing this. I'm gonna have one more piece of the rattlesnake cheese.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you. Our thanks to Jeannie and the Firefly Coffee House for hosting us for episode 2 of Inside Wisconsin's Deeper Roots with Blaine's Farm and Fleet. If you'd like to learn more about Jeannie and the Firefly Coffee House and to see what their current cheese board selections are, visit their website at fireflycoffeehouse.com. Make sure to like this video on YouTube and hit subscribe. And if you're listening to the audio side of the podcast, leave us that glorious 5-star review, of course. We're grateful. If you have a Deeper Root story that you'd like us to share, please fill out the form on our website, farmandfleet.com/deeper roots.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Rolltech, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, Miller Lite, and Aaron's Company.
Shut up and sit down.